I was flying little electric airplanes with Will Harvey, and they flew like 25 minutes. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. On a tiny little battery, this plane flying for 25 minutes. And I asked Will, I said,
scary though.
someone's got to put this thing into cars. And I didn't really know anything about cars, right? But I kind of go from hobby to hobby. And Will said, oh, a matter of fact, a good friend of mine's neighbor is doing that. He's putting them in this Lotus. I'm like, you got to introduce me. You got to introduce me to this guy. I got to get one of these cars.
This is ever harder.
Targeting.
Yeah.
It was Martin.
Okay.
It was a neighbor of a friend of Will's. But I'm asking everybody about this. And so I asked Bruce, and like, hey, do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? I asked Andy Rubin, who was doing Android at Google at the time. And Andy said, oh, you don't want that thing. And he had some reason for why he didn't think it was going to be very good. So I dropped it. Like, okay, whatever. And then Bruce and I were working together actually on another company. This was in 2005 or so.
Okay.
I was doing a company called Core Mobility, doing mobile phone stuff. And Bruce calls me up and says, hey, that car you've been talking about, it's on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. I'm like, okay, yeah. So he goes, let's go check it out. I'm like, what? What do you mean, let's go check it out? He goes, let's just go over there. Like for lunch or what? He goes, yeah, let's go there for lunch. So
he's probably saying Carlos then?
Yeah,
That's what they're
like on Bing Street.
Yeah. So this is like their first.
Yeah, so we look it up,
shop.
That warehouse, right?
Yeah.
And we just look it up, get the address. We don't call anything. And we find the place, it says Tesla. It's not like a big deal. Knock on the door. It's locked. First of all, it's locked. You can see there's a desk there, but there's no one at the desk.
Yeah.
We knock on the door. Eventually someone comes out. And they're like, who are you guys? And we're like, well, we want to see the car. And they're like, yeah, well, who are you? And I didn't know this at the time, but Elon had worked for Bruce. So there must have been something in that Wall Street Journal that said something about Elon investing or whatever. And Bruce is like, yeah, Elon, I know Elon, da, 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 da. And the guy's like, okay. He went back in. Some other guy comes out. Same story. Repeat the same story, right? And then Elon and Martin come out.
Okay.
And Elon and Bruce like, oh, hey, how's it going?
Amazing, man. They're actually there. Okay.
They were having a board meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
And they were super cool. I mean, these two random guys, well, not completely random. I was completely random. Show up at their door. And they're like, hey, we're finished the board meeting and we'll show you the stuff. And so we spent the afternoon with them, driving the, what are those development prototype?
The Elise or
yeah. But it was like
the mule.
Yeah, the mules.
Yeah.
We were not allowed to drive them, but Martin was driving us around. Super cool. Right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I don't. This is probably in the book too. Well, you would know, but they were not allowed to sell cars.
Right. Well, and those ones you were driving were probably like close to catching on fire at all.
I've got another story. If you want another story, I got another story about that one. So they said, well, we both said we'll take one. Like, really? Yeah, we'll both take one. Okay. And so you join a club, and one of the privileges of joining the club is you get a free car. So we both joined the club.
So you joined the Tesla club.
We joined the Tesla. That's how you bought the car.
Okay.
Because they were not allowed to, you had to have some license.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Something to sell them. So we joined the Tesla club. We both got a car. Here's another stupid thing. I wanted one that ended in 0. And I figured, Bruce knew Elon. So he was going to get like, if we got 1 and 2, he would get the first one. I said, well, if it ends in 0, I really want 0. So I said, okay, this gives me a chance at getting the one ahead of Bruce.
Yeah.
Like, how can I just want the 1 and 0. Well, he got 41.
Okay.
Is it 41 or 42? I would have had, what's the meaning of the universe in Hitchhiker's Guide?
Is it 42 or 47?
It's 42 or 43. It's 42.
Okay.
It's 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 42. I would have had that one.
Okay.
Instead, I got 50.
Okay.
Because I wanted one.
With 0. All right. So you join the club, and as part of being in this club, you put a down payment on to get in line.
Yeah, $100,000 to join the club.
Okay.
And then you get the Roadster.
And then you've kind of got this relationship going.
Well, I asked him, I said, hey, are you guys raising money, or what's the deal with the company? And they said, yeah, we're raising money, and I'll let you know. Right. And then, I don't know, 2-3 weeks later, Martin calls me and says, you serious about investing? And I said, well, yeah, what's the minimum? I'm not like, I'm just a, Silicon Valley entrepreneur trying to make it running another company, he let me invest in that next round.
Okay.
That
probably worked out okay.
It worked out okay. Anything that,
some ups and downs along the way, but not pretty good. And then, okay, so you've got this relationship going. When do you actually end up getting your Roadster 1?
I think that came 2008. I
Right,
think,
it
3
should-
years later
Okay.
or so. That was probably 2005.
And you end up with number 50.
Number 50.
Okay. And do you still have it?
I do.
Okay.
A mouse kind of got in there and did a little number on it, but it's beautiful. It's in great shape.
What color?
Signature.
Okay.
Signature green.
Okay.
I
and
think there's
Bruce-
30 of those.
Yeah, Bruce has one that he still
But
drives
he got,
out
and
of-
I was really surprised, he got the British Racing Green.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
But that's Bruce, I'm
Yeah.
like, this limited edition or signature green, I gotta
Yeah.
have that.
So and does Bruce's drives well? You
Drives
have
great.
you have mouse issues, but it drives okay.
He doesn't have mouse issues.
Okay.
But yeah. Mine was driving great.
Okay.
Oh, the battery's fine. Everything's great on that thing.
Okay.
Love that car.
All right. So you're in it. I remember back then in those days, I think Tesla was really struggling to get that first Roadster out.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, Martin doesn't end up lasting, and then
Martin has actually helped me with that mouse issue.
Oh,
He was
okay.
great. He
Okay.
came up and we're going through the car. That guy is just amazing.
he and Elon get along great.
Yeah.
And then I remember back then people like Larry, like Tesla was struggling to make ends meet sometimes. And I remember like Larry and Sergey put in orders
Oh, my
early
God.
and they invested.
I went into a board meeting. Actually, this was another company that Bruce was involved with called Carrier IQ. And I go into a board meeting and one of the board members says, "Hey, Con, I hear you bought one of those Tesla Roadsters." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he says, "They are now spending customer deposits to keep the company alive. You should ask for your money back."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, there's no way I would do that." And in fact, I invested in the company as well. Yeah. And this guy was like, "You got to be kidding me. Are you just setting money on fire?" And I didn't have a lot of money, but
Yeah.
you gotta, and the other thing is I'd never bought a new car. I was always like first generation immigrant, just buy the old, used car, whatever, driving.
That's your first new car. That's
my
amazing.
that's my first new car.
Unbelievable, man. Okay. So time's going on. And then do you put an order on a Model S?
It's funny you should ask that.
Okay.
So I don't do a good job paying attention to email or any of that kind of stuff. And then Bruce, we tend to be a little bit competitive with each other. He says, "Hey, so have you bought a Model S?" I'm like, "No, like what's that? What are you talking about?" He goes, "Oh, well, you got to get your deposit in." So he put one of the very first deposits in. He goes, "Yeah, I've got number 3.
Okay.
I'm like, "Oh God, okay." So I call up Tesla. I go, "Hey, I'll buy a Model S, but I need number 0. they're like, "What do you mean?"
That's taken, sir.
Well, they said the VINs start at 1.
Yeah.
I said, "No, they don't. It should just start at 0. Like that's a number. Isn't it like 000? I want 000." And they're like, "Well, that doesn't work that way. You can get in line." I said, "I told you I will buy it if you give me number 0. Otherwise, I'm not buying it."
Yeah.
And Tesla was a small company, so they want to sell cars.
Yeah.
They said, "Well, sorry." I said, "Okay, fine, not gonna buy it." They called me like 2 weeks later. I don't know, maybe it wasn't that long, and they said, "We have a solution for you." I'm like, "What's that?" We're going to do even better. We're going to give you a founders edition.
Okay. Yeah. Because they had the founders.
The founders.
Yeah.
And you had to be an investor to get a founders
Right,
edition.
right.
I don't know when they added that. So I ended up with Founders 10.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember when they did the unveil.
I was there at the factory. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean that day?
Yeah,
Yeah. They were
so-
rolling off the line. Yeah.
So I got number 10. And, there's all these kind of big investors and whatever. And then the 10th one goes to, this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were, if I remember, God, I'm getting old, but I remember being at the factory. You guys all got to get up right
Right
there
on
on the
stage,
line. And
yeah.
all those people
They
applying.
handed the key
Yeah.
and then we drove it out of the factory.
And Bill Lee must have been, I think he was maybe 8. And he was somewhere around there. I remember him being on stage. And then Jurvetson had a real early
Yeah, Draper.
number. And
So that afterwards, Tim and I were just racing it around the parking lot.
okay.
It's really
So you always wanted a 0, though. You couldn't have 0, so you took 10,
right.
50, and then 10.
Now, here's another little piece of trivia. So when they put the license plates on, so they're dealer plates, they're the original plates from the factory. I don't know exactly how it works, but apparently they stacked them upside down. So 10 got 000,
Oh,
and 9 got 1. If you didn't have a custom plate, which I didn't, so my license plate is 000.
okay. And do you still have that one?
It's actually parked out in the parking
It's
lot.
parked out? Okay. All right.
And it runs great.
So you're still going.